Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be working on my Ranger. I've been having issues for the past, well, forever since I've built the truck. These carburetors, they get the better of me, I guess. I let the truck sit too long sometimes, and I guess the ethanol inside of the carburetor congeals up and it clogs the idle circuit. I end up having to take the idle screws all the way out and blow out those ports with the air compressor before fuel starts flowing through it again. And even then, sometimes I'll be driving along and sometimes they'll get clogged up. I don't know why. I've got my fuel filters on there and everything. I'm constantly having to adjust those carburetors, and I never seem to get them exactly where I want them. I've been having some issues with timing from my ready-to-run MSD distributor. That's never seemed to have gone away. When I start getting in the upper RPM range, it can hesitate and stutter. It's a little strange. If I get it timed right to start the truck, and it seems to be running right, and I give it some gas, typically I'll get like valve clatter until I adjust the timing. And then when the timing is set so that there is no valve clatter, it doesn't want to start. So it's very, very picky. So hopefully what I'm going to do today will help with that. In fact, I know it will. So what's going on is we're going to be installing the Pro Flo 4 system from Edelbrock. A lot of people have told me I spent way too much money on this, and I probably did. They said I should have gone with like a Holley Sniper or something, you know, that's more like a throttle body injection. I wanted this for the sequential injection and the fact that it works with Android, so we can do a couple of unique things later on. I know the Holley Sniper system works with like the Windows systems, and you can get Windows tablets and things like that, but my main interest was the fact that this was a sequential system instead of the throttle body injection kind of system, which isn't necessarily that big of a difference, but I think I just kind of like it a little bit better. The big thing that we really need to get done today that's going to take me probably the most time is installing a new fuel pump. This is an 88 Ranger, and it has the two fuel pumps set up, where there is a low pressure fuel pump in the tank that gets all the way up to about here, where there is another high pressure fuel pump, and that goes all the way up. Right now it's being stupidly regulated back down to work for the carburetor, so I'm going from low pressure to high pressure to regulated low pressure into the carb, and that whole setup's just kind of janky and needs to be done away with anyways. I still have a lot left to get done on this Ranger, but I guess just to let you know what it is, it's a 1988 Ford Ranger that originally had a 2.9 liter with a 5-speed in it. It now has a 306 with a T5Z 5-speed. It's got an 8.8 rear end out of a 95 Explorer, which means that it has disc brakes. It's a 373 and it's limited slip. The truck has been lowered with the axle being on top of the springs and the DJM flip beams on the front. My dad's supposed to come over here in a little bit. The main focus today is going to be getting the Pro Flo installed. With that custom fuel pump set up, it's a standard fuel pump, but the way it's going to have to be installed is going to be custom because there's nothing specifically made for this Ranger for this fuel pump that's in this tank. So we'll have to do some customization there. We got our EFI high pressure regulator, and I could have bought the whole system from Edelbrock, but it was going to come with just, regular gas tube. It wasn't going to come with nice pretty fittings. So we went ahead and spent just a little bit of extra money. I think overall, instead of buying their kit, I spent an extra 30-40 bucks and got everything with fittings. Got a gauge ready to hook up to the fuel tank. Got a nice fuel filter. Ended up being able to get all of my gaskets, making material, my sealers and whatnot, stainless hose, so that'll be nice. 180 degree thermostat, because that's what the system calls for, and a new thermostat housing, because I believe when I installed mine last time it cracked and I just kind of sealed it up. I'm going to get started on the fuel tank, and when my dad gets here, maybe we'll stick him on draining the fluids, well, really just the coolant, and then trying to get that intake off and pull the distributor out. And when we're ready to open this up, I'll do just a real quick unboxing video. I know there's at least a dozen of them on YouTube. This one will just show, I guess, what's in there for the 302, because what's on the box does not match the picture at least doesn't match the intake style of what's in the box. And we'll talk about what they provide and what they don't provide. And yeah, we'll see how far we get today. It's supposed to rain sometime around 2 or 3 o'clock, but the weather's not supposed to get too hot today yet. My dad, I think, has said he's bringing a canopy or something over to help with that. All right, so we'll get started on the fuel tank. We got to drop it and get everything separated. We're going to have to run electrical. We're going to have to run fuel lines. We're going to have to hook them up to a relay. We'll have to hook them up to the computer inside this thing. Should be pretty straightforward. Let's get started. Got that fuel tank out. See the difference in the fuel pumps here. One is significantly bigger than the other. This one's like twice the size. It doesn't look like it's going to be too hard to get this to work. Just gotta disassemble it and figure out how to mount this in there. There's a couple other parts to go with this fuel pump, but it looks like it should just wire up pretty straightforward. We'll have to figure something out. Alright. Well, let's get going on that. we got that modified just in time for my dad to show up. Hi, Dad. In his van. I looked up online, butt connectors are safe to use in gas. They're not going to melt or anything like that. We don't have to worry about electrical connections. 12 volt, 13.5 volt DC flowing through gas. I mean, it was wide open. You saw the pump was like completely submerged, so we don't have to worry about that. That's pretty much all I did, was just cut that tube a little bit and mount that all up in there. It seemed to go together pretty easily, actually, a lot less work than I thought it was going to be. So now we get it back in the fuel tank. Before we put the fuel tank back up in, I need to start making some lines. We got to make sure that these fittings over here fit. Okay. These two fittings should fit on there. I believe one is smaller than the other for the return line. This one's a 3/8, this one's a 5/16, I believe. Make sure they fit on here. And then put it back up in the truck. And then get some of that stainless hose. I might just connect those fittings. Well, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it, but I need to basically have the hose accessible once I put the gas tank back up in there, because once I put it up in there, I don't have access to those connectors anymore on there. They're just like impossible to reach, so we'll figure that out. Really hope these work, because if they don't, we've got to kind of stop what we're doing. I think these are the right ones. It should just slide on there. Perfect. And this one should just clip right on. Yep, just clipped right on. 2-part numbers on those. Go 640863 and 640853. Cool. Alright, fits back in the gas tank. Everything looks like it's going to work. While I'm working on the gas stuff, Dad's going to work on emptying the coolant and taking out the distributor and trying to get that intake off, which is going to be fun. I'll have to help him with some of that. Try to save the coolant because it's brand new. I just did a flush on the whole system and put in 50/50. So, you know, everything's good to go there. Hopefully I can save that coolant. No big deal. Alright, let's try to figure out the lengths of hoses and things on this. Alright, Dad thinks we need some razor scrapers. I don't have any of the ones that hold the razor blades. I thought the vacuum and drill with a wire brush method worked pretty good. But he thinks it'll help to have the scrapers, so we'll let him go with that. And there goes Dad peeling out. We put a 360 in that van. So we're at the point now where we're just kind of cleaning this up, getting ready to put that on, the intake from the Pro Flo on, and we'll do that unboxing video. I don't know that I bought enough hose. Truck's a little longer than I probably thought. I should have measured. So what we're going to do, instead of trying to get the tank reinstalled with the hoses hanging off of it, we're going to work our front back. So we'll start up here, get everything going, and then we'll start running our lines back. And if I need to splice something together for now, get all the way to the back of the tank, we'll do that. We'll run up AutoZone or something and get some fuel hose. Because under the truck doesn't really matter that much. You're not really going to see that, so the majority of this hose should be used for looking pretty under the hood, even though the rest of it kind of looks junky. At least we'll have nice hoses, right? Alright, so as soon as Dad gets back from the store, we will get back at it. Alright, a couple of little technical difficulties, but we got it all ready to go. Looks like everything's pretty well clean in there. So now comes the time where we gotta unbox this thing.
Open your Christmas present.
Pretty much. Gotta clean this lens. There we go. So let's get everything off of here and just toss it in the box. Because we got to put some gaskets in it. We're going to follow the instructions exactly. I know a lot of people will just get regular gasket, whatever the heck. I went with literally everything that they called for. There's a handle that you got to roll out. There you go. Here we go. Hey.
Sweet looking.
Looks pretty good. This box over here. So we have our ECUs in here. There it is. The tablets in there. Make sure somebody didn't take that. There we go. Real cool. Intake system. Like I said, it doesn't quite match the picture on the box because this is a different motor this goes to. Pretty straightforward. Got a bunch of documents over here. Oh yeah, that's nice. Somebody signed off on all the paperwork. Well, that one's stuck. So let's see here. Installation instructions and e-tuner manual. Installation instructions. What to do, what not to do, things that you require. All this can be found on their website, of course. We want to go ahead and get the head set up to receive that intake. And it talks on here about using gasket cinch, some other stuff. Basic instruction manual. Make sure it's going to fit under your hood, and how to actually install it. So we'll read that real quick, and then we'll start doing what it says to do. Everything else in the box, I think, is just wiring. Set that over here on the floor very carefully.
Oh, it includes gaskets.
Got some gaskets. That's nice. And then I think everything else is just right under here. Oh, no. Whatever. It's good, Dad. Don't move that. Or, yeah. Careful, that tablet's in there.
I understand.
We got our huge wire harness mess. Some brackets and screws and stuff. I don't know what's in there. Oh, brand new distributor. I hope that fits. The old distributor I had was the small one.
Well, it should be the one that fits with the system.
Yeah. I hope it clears everything. Yeah, it should be alright. Cool. Alright, we'll leave that in there for last then. We'll have to get all the timing set up. It says to time it to like 12 degrees or something. So that's it. Just a real quick unboxing video. And we're going to follow the instructions and we'll get it all installed. Well, it's starting to rain. We got this canopy set up, but the rain looks like it's going to be a little bit heavier than we can deal with. Everything's just kind of hanging out outside right now. The truck is covered, but we're going to get some lunch here. And depending on the weather, we may or may not come back out. So we got the intake installed. I made a little bracket there to go off my old bracket where my old regulator used to be. That'll sit right on there. And then we'll run all of everything that we need over to the engine. So for now, we're going to close it up and see what the weather does and get some lunch. And may or may not be back today, but, well, the video, it'll look like we never stopped. Woohoo! Alright guys, it's a little after 1:30 a.m. 6 days later, I think. This will be the morning of Saturday, I guess, so yeah. I haven't been working on the truck because it gets incredibly hot. I'm in Texas. I think the weather on Tuesday is supposed to get up to like 104 or something, but anyway, this is kind of the best time to get some work done. It's a little humid out, but it's nice and cool. Well, relatively cool. So we're going to throw that distributor in and see about routing some fuel lines. I still don't think I have enough braided fuel line, so we might have to order some more of that, but for now we can make a little bit of progress. I did a little bit of research. I probably should have known. The gear on the distributor is melanized, so it will work with any gear that's on any camshaft. So you don't have to worry about that with this kit. Just pop it in and it'll go. So let's get to work on dropping that in and seeing about routing some fuel lines. We'll have to start thinking about seeing some electrical. Alright, I don't know what happened to my camera, but I made this hose and I thought I had a time lapse of it, and I went to check the camera and it was locked up. But anyways, here's the first hose. I'll get some more time lapse of this stuff. There's kind of a pain in the butt of making these things, unless you have the tool that clamps on here. But there's kind of a tricky way to do it, where you kind of bevel some of the stainless off of it, and then put the fitting down on the workbench and get a pair of needle nose pliers and kind of pinch it around until it goes in. I'll show you that at one point if my camera wants to work right. We've run into a couple of issues already. Well, for one, I don't have hardware to mount this right now, so we're kind of just, using the vice grips to hold it on there. So we got our pressure regulator, we have our gauge, and then our fuel filter. We'll come out of our fuel filter and run over here around all this. It's going to be kind of a tight fit. I knew it would be. I thought maybe I could have moved the fuel line to the other side, but I don't believe there would have been enough room to get it in there. Maybe there would have. I don't know, maybe we'll look into that in the future and make a new hose. But essentially, let's see, that'll just go on right there. There we go. this is all just kind of mocked up for now. We'll have to go back and tighten everything down when I go get some hardware to hold on that pressure regulator. Actually, that worked out pretty well. Yeah. So, see if we can see what we got going on here. Let me see if I can grab this light and make it a little. There we go. So we'll bring our fuel in from this side. We also need to run a vacuum line all the way around over. We'll tee off in the back somewhere. But fuel will come up here. There's a fuel return line at the bottom down there. We'll have to run that back, which is why I don't think I have enough of that hose. But runs out of the pressure regulator into the gauge. Gauge runs into the fuel filter. Fuel filter runs all the way over here. Kind of hard to see. Runs under there. And underneath this mess right here is the fuel rail. So that's one hose complete. We got to make the hose that goes to the back. Well, two hoses that go to the back. And those hoses will bolt onto there. The other thing we ran into, is the air filter, air cleaner is no longer going to work for us. We'll have to find a different one to fit on there. I don't want to go to that really small one, but we'll look around and see what we can find online. Because right now it's hitting the distributor. I knew that was going to be an issue because the other distributor isn't the big one, it's the small one, and that had ended up working out perfectly, but this one's not going to do it. And then, as if there wasn't enough problems, we are going to have to figure out a new mount for this whole thing, because I cannot hook that up anywhere, so we'll have to make a bracket. And I wish this is the problem of doing this at night. I should be able to make a bracket for the accelerator cable. If I put it down here, the fuel line's in the way, or the fuel rail's in the way, so it's not going to work out like that. So I'm going to have to, I don't know, this is going to have to sit, I think, somewhere around there. So we'll have to make something that comes up and holds that through the bolt hole over here. I don't know, we'll figure that out later. Anyways, this isn't going to get too much further tonight without that mounting hardware. I might be able to make one more hose, but without the gas tank being about where it needs to be, I have no idea how long I need to make that hose. So unfortunately, we didn't get too much done tonight, and it looks like we need to stop. But it's a little bit of progress. Distributor's in, and we got all that stuff kind of figured out. We know how our hoses are going to route. Boop. And now I have to plug in. Yeah. Alright, not too bad though. It looks like I can still move the distributor without hitting that fuel line. I guess I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for tonight. My friends want me to go to the lake tomorrow, so I don't know if we'll be doing that or if we're going to try to work on the truck when it's 100 degrees out. I need a bigger garage. I'm envious of some of you guys out there that have those big old garages that are air conditioned. Not complaining. I mean, at least I got a house. Alright. We shall continue. Peace. Alright, good morning guys. It is a week later. Because I ran out of hose, and trying to work at night was just, I mean, yeah, it was a good idea for staying out of the heat, but it was not good for recording. It was hard to see things, and really I didn't get a whole lot done like I wanted to. I had to go to Home Depot and get some mounting hardware. I ran out of some screws, and like I said, I needed that hose. And then I came up with another interesting problem that I hadn't realized before. So basically, I noticed there was these clean spots of metal, well, relatively cleaner spots of metal, were clearly something, maybe like part of the frame or part of the bed or something of the truck gets put right here when you lift the tank up. And before, this was just sticking straight out here and trying to run a hose that way. I imagine I would have hit something. So along with some hose, I went ahead and got some of these 90-degree connectors off of Amazon. They're cheap. I think they had like an 80% 5-star review. A bunch of people were saying that they had leaking issues. I mean, they look good to me. They look machined well. The surfaces look good. It's catching and not letting it rotate. So we'll see how these do. Hopefully they don't leak. So I guess the goal today would be to finish getting the plumbing done. I'd like to start on the wiring. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get on this. I do have somewhere to be tonight, I think around 8. So we'll have to stop and get cleaned up and go do that. But like I said, we got some more hose. For anybody wondering, I had bought 20 feet thinking that would be enough. It's not. I ended up going with 40 feet. So that's, you know, not cheap hose. That's like $200 worth of hose right there, but at least it's nice. I probably spent way more on all of this than I should have. We still got a lot of parts to put on, a lot of wiring to do, and trying to get this tank back up in there today would be good. So I'm going to throw on some music, which y'all can't hear because copyright issues, but we'll throw on some music, we'll back the car out, give us some room to work, and just kind of get going on it. Alright. Real quick, before we get started, I just wanted to give a shout out to the guys over at B is for Build. I've been a long time subscriber. I watch all of your videos, and I got up this morning after not having watched probably a good week's worth of videos on YouTube, hoping to see some progress on their Eleanor Mustang build, only to find out that all of their videos had been removed and they had been handed a cease and desist order to stop working on that car because of copyright issues between that car and the character, the Eleanor Mustang from the movie. And following that, he had his car seized. They took his car, forced him to remove all of the content from his YouTube channel, and it's just gone. It's stopped. It's mind-blowing to me. I'm livid. I'm angry. I feel so bad for him. I know they're moving past it. It just those guys are such an inspiration for me. I watch a lot of car video channels on YouTube, and they're one of the big ones that I like. And I was really, really excited to see the finished product. So I'm just a little disheartened. You know, I used to love that movie. I'm probably never going to watch that movie ever again. Just, man, I hope he got something for it. I hope he was compensated, at least for the investment that he had in it. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry, guys. And I guess all we can do is keep moving forward and working on new projects. And I'm sorry that happened to you guys. So here's where we left off last time. I left my my vice grips on there, holding that on. We got some hardware so we can mount this finally. So we got our regulator. This is our input. It's on the same side as the vacuum line. Then we got our output. We have our return line. We'll have our gauge here. After our gauge is our fuel filter. Stainless line runs all the way over to this side. I probably could have squeezed it in there on this side to avoid having to go all the way down and around. I didn't want to take anything apart from the Edelbrock system, and that might have been too tight of a fit. It might have worked. Might have been able to do it. I just didn't know, and I didn't have those smaller right angle connectors. Looking at it now, that might have been the better idea. But we'll just go with it like it is for now, and maybe in the future we'll change that up. We can always make a new hose, shorter hose, to go from here to right over here. But I want to go ahead, and I think I'm going to get started on the hoses that run to the back. I'll try to get some footage of making those on the workbench. I got to clean up the workbench a little bit. It's a mess. Like I said last time, the air filter is not going to work in its current location. I thought about getting a smaller one, and then remembered, oh yeah, they make spacers, risers, if you will, for these air filters. So maybe we'll be able to get it up a little bit higher. Hopefully, still clear the hood. I don't know if that's going to work. I may end up having to get a smaller one after all. I was really hoping to be able to just keep this one. Looks like we'll have to get an 1.5 inch spacer, maybe even 1 3/4, 2 inch. But if I go up too high, then the hood's not going to close. So we'll have to figure that out. But that can be done once the truck is running. Got to get these old fuel lines out, get the new ones made. Let's clean up the workbench real quick. Move all this stuff around. Okay, so you got it. Lines that come from the tank go up to this massive filter here, which goes into the even more massive fuel pump. Look at how big that thing is. That's insane compared to the little AEM pump we put in the tank. I don't know what these are rated at. Maybe the same pressure and all that. I'm not sure about the liters per hour or gallons per hour or whatever it's going to be measured in. But that big ass thing is being replaced by that little fuel pump, and then apparently over to another filter. So you've got a filter in the pickup that was in the tank. Now that pickup is a low pressure pump with a little bag like filter on it. Goes into that filter, into that pump, into that filter. So altogether you got like 3 filters and 2 pumps just for this what was originally a 2.9 liter. Crazy. I mean, I imagine these are all the originals. I don't ever remember swapping fuel filters or pumps or anything like that. So I'm pretty sure this is all original stuff. And I'm glad it's out of the truck now. I can't believe I was running on this crazy system. Low pressure pump to a filter to a high pressure pump to a filter to a regulator. So pressure going up, pressure going down, just crazy. Oh, neighbor's got an exhaust leak on his truck. That sounds rowdy. Alright, well, now that that's all out of the way, we can, I guess we can run a hose back real quick. Well, you know, I'm not too sure. We gotta know a length. So it might be smart to bring the tank towards the back so that we know how far we got to go. Give us, you know what? We said we were going to work backwards, but now I think I'm going to go ahead and get both of the ends of these lines put on. We'll do that one too. We'll hook them up to the tank. We'll put the tank back in, and then we'll have these 2 long lines hanging out from the tank, and we'll run them up the rail all the way up to the front. The only issue I foresee with that is we got to put those ends on. Well, basically I just pinch it with needle nose pliers until it fits in. And if I don't have the ability to do that on the bench, maybe I can do it over here on the ground or on the truck somewhere over here. I think I like that idea though of getting the tank back up in there. making sure everything's going to fit, and then just having the two lines hanging off. Well, now I got to remember which one of those, shoot, which one of those was the output. Oh no, it's going to be the bigger one's the output. Bigger one's the output, smaller one's the return. So that's the bigger line. So that'll be our output. Okay, so we got those fittings on the tank. We got the tank drug over there. Drug, whatever. Anyways, found out exactly what was going on with those marks on the tank there. So you can see, yeah, that's part of the little frame crossover there. So it'll come up and it'll hit here and here where the discoloration is onto the tank, and we have a slight, ever so slight overhang on this fitting, but I think we'll kind of shove it back a little bit, bring it up, and then over a bit. That means that those fittings end up above that part of the frame there. So we went ahead and routed the fuel lines up there. I think I'm going to grease this fitting here for the fuel inlet, so that goes on real nice and easy, and then we'll just have to take it slow and not break our connectors. And then the other part of this is there's the electrical wire, or wires, they go over to that fuel pump. I don't know where those are hanging down. I gotta find them real quick. I'm sure they're hanging around here somewhere. Anyways, I gotta look at the Edelbrock manual one more time, but I think that ECU wants to control the fuel pump, not an ignition relay from the key. I can't remember. So we'll go take a look at that. I think it would make more sense if the ECU did that from the Edelbrock controller, because you would want the fuel pressure rail to get up to pressure and then cut off the fuel pump once it's up there. Although this is a return system, so perhaps it just kicks it on and goes full throttle the entire time. Let's work on getting that tank back up in there, finding those wires and consulting the Edelbrock manual about how they want us to wire that fuel pump in. Alright, it is the next day. We did not come back out yesterday. I'm not feeling too good. Combination of summer allergies and just, I guess, starting to get old. My neck and my back hurt constantly, and I took that magical combination of acetaminophen and ibuprofen this morning, so hopefully maybe in 30-45 minutes we'll start feeling better. But anyways, today we need to work on electrical. I don't believe there'll be too much to figure out. I might have to wire up another relay. I don't know. We'll go through the manual. We'll look at it all. A lot of this stuff should just click in, and then of course we got to solve the accelerator issue back there. All right, let's just get to work. Okay, cut forward just a little bit. You know, I had to eat some lunch, and the neighbor needed some help with his truck. He couldn't get 2 spark plugs out of his 4.6 liter in his Expedition. So I did that for him, and he mowed my yard for me while I was doing that. So what a nice guy. That's teamwork right there. Alright, I think my relay for my choke was bad. That might have been part of the reason I was having issues before. I do not know. But I have this other relay. It's hooked up. And when I turn the key on, it gives me gas. This thing was able to pair with it. I did have to reset the pairing connection, but the pin for the Bluetooth is just the last 6 of the serial number. It's the number part of the serial number. So I think we're actually ready to start it up. Let's. I already programmed the tune into it. Told it what it was. Let's see, keys on. Yeah, there we go. We got fuel pressure. Turned it off. Now we're turning it back on. Okay. And advanced tuning. Look at all that. It's crazy. Well, I'm gonna have to do it again because I canceled the setup on it. Let's see, we're running a Ford 302. God, the glare on this is so bad. I'm sorry, guys. Here, we can go into that. No, we can't go too far away because the Bluetooth would disconnect. Alright, screw it. So, you're just gonna have to bear with me for a second. I'll probably cut this out. Set it to a 306. It's a mild cam. 43 psi, 29 pounds per hour. Alright, that's going to program real quick. Alright, it's done. We turned it off, we turned it back on. Prepare to start the engine. Looks like it's trying to connect. It connected. We're looking at, man, you can't see it. It says 46 psi fuel pressure, coolant's at 120. Next, it says press set base timing. It's locked. So start the engine and adjust distributor to 12 degrees before top dead center with a timing light. We got our timing light. Now I'm in neutral. Let's start this real quick. Let's just get a, let's go get a junk screwdriver because this always puts little weld looking spots. Alright, junk screwdriver. Let's see if this thing will fire up. Oh! Alright, timing's definitely off on it. That was a rough start. Let me see if I can put this camera down for a second. Sorry, guys. It says to adjust this until we get 15 to 20% idle air control. 5 to 15, we're up higher, so. We're between 8 and 10. It says 5 to 15. Well, we're between 5 and 15. Alright. let it idle for just a little bit, take another short break. When I come back out, I gotta hook up some vacuum hoses. We gotta clean up this mess of wires we got running everywhere. Just kind of clean it up, tie it up, mount the relays, the vacuum lines, relays, and then throttle. We gotta get that cable hooked up before we can go anywhere. Holy cow though, it's running. I wonder, are my gauges working? Yeah, idle's working, our tach's working, temp's working. Says I got a little bit of gas. I got like half a tank, which is actually correct, so. Alright, break time. Alright guys, another week has gone by, and I ordered some more parts. Well, that's a camera replacement for one of that, but got a spacer. I got a new throttle cable, just in case the one that was on there wasn't long enough. I don't know if I'll need that or not. I might just replace it anyways. When I hooked up one of the relays, one of the fuses, I must have hooked it up wrong or something. Stupid me. I popped a fuse, but that's why we put fuses on things. I got this Edelbrock linkage set up. It has some brackets for kickdown for transmissions. We're not going to need that. We're running a manual. So let's get that throttle hooked up and replace that fuse, and then maybe have to track down some wiring problems. That relay may actually be bad, and that's what controls the wire that goes and kicks on the alternator, the field. So we probably need to replace that one. I think it was broken last time, and for some strange reason, if I jump the solenoid, it'll start. When I go to turn on the key and start it with the key, won't start. Do it over here, happens instantly. Use the key, never works. So I don't think that I'm using a wire that goes dead when you turn the key to start, or like, you know, to crank it over. So I don't know why that would be happening. We're just gonna have to look at all the power as we attempt to start it with the key and see if any of it goes dead. We'll check that on the ignition too. I don't think I lose connection on the tablet, so I don't think it's killing the ECU. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I picked the hottest time of the day to get out here. It's sun's getting bright. It's in the 90s, but whatever. We just want to get this thing running so we can drive it. All right. Okay, so that's my issue. I have a temporary starter wire is what's going on. Essentially what I mean is I've grabbed one of the wires that only comes on while you're in start, or while you're in run, but not when you're in start. So as soon as I go to crank it over, we go from having 12 volts to nothing. So we need to check our handy dandy Haynes manual real quick. Although I'm pretty sure it's going to tell me it's supposed to be the red with light green wire. I believe is the one that once you're in any position except for off, that's when that comes on. I thought that's what we were hooked up to, but apparently not. So I gotta see if I can trace down a wire real quick. Alright. Okay, I found it. It is the red with light green wire. It was halfway through my wiring harness. It's never been hooked up to anything, which means I've had it hooked up to the wrong wire the whole time. But if you're curious, the wire that I have it hooked up to is a gray with yellow wire. I'll have to look at that one. That might just be an accessory on or something. Or maybe like the fan blower on it. Man, I don't know. I'll look it up and let y'all know if y'all want. So anyways, it's this big fat red-green wire down here. That one. And I pretty much just got to disconnect from the wire I'm on and put it onto this wire. It looks like there's some fusible links in here, so before I try to connect it after the links, I think I'm going to try testing the voltage to make sure it actually does what it's supposed to. So let me do that and get that wrapped back up, and then this thing should be starting on its own. Once it's on its own, this thing should be starting with a key. Once we get it starting with a key, we'll throw on the throttle linkage and the spacer and see if we can't take this thing up the road in a little bit. I haven't driven it in, I don't know, 5-6 weeks. Alright. Okay, that definitely fixed it, so I just need to cut the wire on. Sweet. Alright, we will get to that now. Ooh, a Mustang. Okay, I think we're ready for a test drive. Fire right up. It's hot. AC on. The idle air control valve is offsetting the drain on the motor, so that's good. I hope it's okay to use it that way. I might have to do some research to make sure that's okay. Open. There we go. Alright, so we're done for today. Took it for a test drive. It feels alright. I think we need to put some springs on that throttle cable. I guess I'll drive it for a little while and maybe do an update video. Just a little post on how it's doing. Upcoming projects, I gotta get a sway bar or something. These wheels are rubbing on the truck. I gotta fix the clearance issues. Do something about the shock mounts, keep them from rubbing on the rims. Eventually get the windows tinted too, that'll help. Oh, that came off. There's the old carb. We need to clean all that and see what money we can get back out of it. Because for now, the system is on and it's working. I like it. It took forever to get there, but hopefully anybody watching this video sees what I went through and can think ahead better than I did. I thought I had thought of everything, but clearly I didn't. Let me know if y'all have any questions. Be happy to answer them. Peace.